there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel and welcome to day 22 of the Some Assemblage Required Advent Calendar. I'm going to hop right in and open this up. I'm super excited to see what we've got here and then go and try to create with it. If you haven't been following along, where have you been? Because we've been doing this all month long. The Advent Calendar was available in the beginning of November from MK's site, Some Assemblage Required. They were shipped and received by people who ordered them before December, and we've been opening stuff every day. And then I've been trying to create every even day, and she's been trying to create every odd day with whatever we pull from our packages. So here is today's. Okay, so we've got a wave that says go with the flow. This one says get out and go, and it's a globe with a airplane. We've got an explorer. This one says where we are today, how do we get there, and where we want to go. Okay, I am excited to see. Let's see here. Let me open this up. I want to double check what color of wood we've got going here, and then I will decide what I want to do. So I'm going to unmask. Basically, that means I'm going to take this big roll of tape. You can see I've unmasked other things. There is a masking over the top of the wood to protect it when it goes into the laser machine so it doesn't scorch. So that's the natural color. It is the lighter color of the wood, which is, I want to say, probably the most common one that MK uses, but she does have several other options. So you just never know. That's super cute. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to go away and I'm gonna go away for a little bit here and figure out what photos I want to use with these, and then I will come back and create something with it. Okay, I really like these. They're obviously not all gonna go on one page, but I think these two would go really well together. And this would go really well with this, especially if you're traveling in some different kind of format than traditional. How do we get there? Or if you're trying to map out the route, that would be kind of cool too. But anyway, I'm going to go think about it and grab some photos, and I'll be back. Okay, so today is also Woodgrain and Winter, and I am doing you a doozy for Woodgrain and Winter. I'm using 3 different wood grains to create one background. I have 2 photos of my little guy and one of the big sisters with some friends. These were taken at the beach last year, believe it or not, on New Year's Eve. So it is Woodgrain and Winter. But yes, they are in the water. It's California. You never know. And also, these kids are crazy. So I took my inspiration from the photo. I'm going with a kind of sandy color for the bottom, but I am inking it up with a little bit of walnut stain distress ink, and then I'm going with a blue wood grain for the top for the sky, or kind of to play off of the sky. And I am going to ink it up as well with some Catherine Pooler on the Lake. And yeah, it's this, I haven't used this a lot, so you can see it's super saturated, especially that first punch right off of the ink pad, and then putting it on my paper, you can see it really saturated, but I'm okay with it. You know, there's a lot of different blues in the sky in these photos. I'm not trying to make it matchy-matchy exactly, but trying to give it a little bit of variation and not just that plain light blue. And I was going to leave the middle blank, a blank white, but then I had this 6x6 sitting on my desk, and it's kind of got that white color, and it looks a little bit like the foam of the ocean. So I am going to go ahead and use that as well. And there are now 3 pieces of wood grain on my background to create a beachy layout. I've never thought about doing that before, but I really like the way that it ends up looking, so I'm just gonna go with it. Um, and yes, my wood grains are going in different directions, and I'm okay with that too. I don't know. Um, I feel like that top one kind of goes with the horizon, and so I'm totally okay with that. I did take some white cardstock and I backed it on some blue foam, as you can see here. And then I'm going to cut that out, and then I am using a couple of different fonts from my dies. These are all from PINKFRESH Studio. The capital letters are, I believe, Leah's Ornate, and I don't believe they have these anymore. I've had them in my stash for several years. And then the lowercase one are called Heather's Lowercase. So if I can find them, I'll link them down below, but I'm not guaranteeing anything at this point. So and then I went with white because I am going to do a little mixed media spray over the top. And I wouldn't normally do this. I would normally spray it first and then do the die cutting, but I knew that was going to prolong how long it would take to do the die cutting because I'd have to wait for that spray to dry. And also because the foam is fully sticky backed, I felt like my paper is going to stick really well to it and it's not going to buckle or anything like that. So I thought, well, I'll just give it a try and see if it works and what happens, and we'll just go with it. And lo and behold, it worked out really well. Now, I didn't do a really heavy application of any spray over the top. I did I would say a mild amount of spray. I'm going to use some of the Tim Holtz Distress, I don't even know what they're called. Pixie sprays? I don't know. I will link them down below. They're the ones in the skinny bottles. You're going to see it here. I'm going to hold it up, so maybe the name will be visible. But I'm going to use Broken China, and then I'm also using some, sorry, they're Distress Spritz. I don't know why I said Pixie. And then I'm using some Hickory Smoke. A little bit of a mix of both, kind of bringing in some of the darker colors. I could have used a more brown color rather than the Hickory Smoke, but there are a lot of grays in my photos as well, and I didn't want the brown to mix with the blue and create some ugly color, so I went with the gray. I have my 2 wood veneer pieces. I am going to go with the wave that says go with the flow, and then the Explorer because they are going with the flow, and obviously their parents are really going with the flow to be at the beach on New Year's Eve and in the water. And then the Explorer is my little guy doing some exploring. That is actually a screenshot of a video of him walking out towards the water. So he's not really by himself, even though it appears like he's by himself. And so, yeah, I just did a screenshot of it, and I don't have the middle of the 3 kids on this layout. I didn't have any pictures of her at the beach. I have a picture of her on New Year's Eve, but not at the beach. So I wanted to keep these ones beachy. I'm not sure which album they're going to go in. Probably in the older one's album because she probably will remember it more than he would, of course. And so that's probably going to go in her album. So I used this die from Visible Image, I believe. And it is a fishnet die. And so I just cut it into 3 pieces. I did ink it up with more walnut stain, and then I went over it with a little bit of the Catherine Pooler Champagne ink, which is metallic. And so that's giving it a little bit of a sparkle, which is great because those Distress Spritz sprays have sparkle in them. So adding more sparkle to this layout, and I think it looks really cool. The sand dollars are from Stampin' Up. And the set is called... it is called Seaside Wishes Hybrid Embossing Folder is what I made it with. But I'm going to tell you right off, I don't have the Stampin' Up machine that does the cutting. I think it's called a Stampin' Emboss. I have a Sizzix switch, and I have a tonic tangerine. And it took me a little bit to get the sandwich right to run that through. So I did not put that on camera because it took me quite a bit of time to figure out what the sandwich was, which you would think would be easy because I have like texture fades from Tim Holtz, but it's not the same thickness. So I don't know. I did a little bit of playing with it. I also did some die cutting of some small letters, and those say at the beach. I believe this alphabet set came with my Sizzix Sidekick, my Tim Holtz version. And I don't even know if they make this die set that goes with it anymore. I'm not really 100% sure because I've had mine for at least 5 years. Well, more than 5 years. I had it for probably 7 years, and it finally broke on me. So I now have the Stampin' Up one, just because I wanted something with a little bit of a wider platform to give me a little more flexibility in cutting a little bit bigger dies without having to carry the Switch or the Tangerine machine, if you know anything about those. The Switch is not super heavy, but it has to be plugged in and all that jazz. The Tangerine is a beast. It is super heavy. So I think it's like 21 pounds. And so, yeah, it's not something I want to carry around to a crop. So that's why I wanted something a little bit bigger. Anyway, I went over to my Sunburst ephemera. I pulled out this banner bunting thing. On the other side, it is yellow, and it says, I think it says beach or something like that on it. But I'm going with the blue side because I have nothing yellow on this layout. I found the shell in that same container of stuff. These are iris bins that are about 13 inches long. So you can get your branding strips in there, or those long like lace looking pieces, or border strips. So that's what is off to the right hand side. There's a link down below for that as well. And then I'm using some foam tape to pop everything up so that I've got a little bit of dimension down here, because I've got enough dimension with the wood veneer pieces. I wanted to make sure I had a little dimension over in this side piece, and that shell is kind of like acting as a third piece of wood veneer, even though it's not wood veneer, it's just paper, but it's bringing in that same color and effect. Now, when I placed this wave, I would have liked it either a little lower or a little higher, so the white was not showing between the words and the wave. But once it was stuck down on that photo, there was no pulling it up. So it is what it is, and it's going to stay where it's at. So I did add some enamel dots, as you see here. These are from 49 and Market. I think they were from the Sunburst Ultimate Page Kit or something like that. And so I'm going to add those. And these things stick really well compared to most enamel dots. They stick so well that when I tried to move them here, I actually tore my paper just a tiny bit. It doesn't really show a whole lot. Mostly on that last one there is where it actually tore. So I had to use a little liquid glue to re-adhere it, to bring it down closer to where it says Explorer. I just put a little bit of ink in there to kind of hide where it tore. And that is it, you guys. I'll do my journaling on the little Hello Fun piece. And I might actually add a QR code so that you can see my little guy walking out to the beach if they scan it in the album. That is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have questions or comments, you can leave those down below. And don't forget to check out everyone else playing along with Woodgrain and Winter, and check out MK's channel for more some assemblage required advent stuff. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys again real soon. Bye-bye.